Hi boys and girls, every crook loves to make easy money. In real estate, even a small scam produces tons of money. So many crooks flock into the real estate market to make easy money. On the other hand, the victim who loses money in a real estate scam gets frustrated, and that frustration lives for 5 years, 10 years, or even for the rest of his life. This is Arvind Jain, a long-term property and cashing expert. I love to grow communities of property investors who are busy building property empires of 20 crores, 50 crores, or 100 crores. I am presenting you a video series of different property scams just to help you escape these property scams and help you secure your properties as far as possible. So let's dive in.
Scam number 3, assured rental return scheme or assured return scheme. In this, a property is offered to you at rupees 100 and the seller will tell you, 6 months later, I'll buy back this property at 150, or 2 years later, I'll buy back this property at double the price or at 200. So this scheme is going to attract investors. It may not attract the end users of the property, but it definitely attracts investors. And all the games which happen in this assured returns schemes are designed to play on the mind of the investor. So there are many times where these schemes have worked very well. There were great brokers who knew the locality very well and who knew what the future is going to happen in that locality. And they could not convince landlords to act as per the way they wanted. So they joined hands with investors. They bought investors and they made investors buy certain lands. And definitely the way the predictions happened, the prices rise. And in fact, the prices rise much better than the way it was predicted. I know my clients who bought lands and the brokers assured them that they would get double the returns in 3 years. And in 3 years, the prices jumped up by 4 times or even 5 times. There have been such great instances. But in many cases, the way the brokers have predicted, the way the landowners have predicted that the prices would rise have not happened. And investors who pumped money trusting these two people actually got their money stuck out. But there were a set of investors who knew how to jump into the water, take control of the land and sell that land and somehow get back their money back home. If you are not the ones who can jump into the water and sell those lands and somehow get your money back home, you should not be entering this assured return schemes. Now, there is another type of assured return scheme. In this, the seller tells you that you buy this property from me and every year I'll give you 6%, 12% or 15% returns, and those returns will come to you as rents. In this case, the developer or the seller is going to further rent that property to some third person and he will use it for some profitable business, and that will generate your assured rental returns. Now friends, this scheme has worked very well in Bangalore. I know many IT parks where large areas of 4 lakh square feet or 6 lakh square feet have been sold to different investors. Small portions of that have been sold to different investors, and the monthly rents that is being generated is proportionately divided among those investors. As long as the business of this third person is doing well, everything is going on fine. The investors are getting their rents on time. The investors are getting their returns on time. Now let's turn to the dark side of the assured rental return scheme. Many of my clients have invested in retail spaces, and for the first 5 years, they got the rents very promptly. But after 5 years, when the tenant left out and the places have been vacant for the next 7 years, they did not get a single penny as rent. I repeat, the places which they had purchased was vacant for 7 years, for even longer, and they did not get a single penny as rent. And during this long period when they did not get a single penny as rent, they could not step on that property and use the property themselves. Why? Because their property was merged with the property of 10 other investors, of 50 other investors, of 100 other investors. So whatever decision that had to be taken had to be jointly decided by the other 10 investors, by the other 50 investors, by the other 100 investors. Friends, you need to be very careful when you're giving for assured rental return schemes. Is your property individually being given to some user, or it is clubbed with the properties of other investors and being given for that particular business? If it is being merged with other properties and then being put into this assured rental return scheme, can you pluck your property out and take responsible decisions on it? If you cannot take your property out and take responsible decisions on it, you are stuck in a trap along with 10, 50 or 100 other investors. The dark side of this assured rental return scheme is you don't know in what business your property is getting invested into. You don't know the reputation and you don't know the credibility of the person who's going to use your property. You don't know what risk your property is being put into. You don't know what damage is going to be caused to your property by this assured rental return scheme because you are not directly interacting with the tenant. All the risks which a tenancy business faces, your property is being put into the same risks. See, when you're directly giving your property on rent, you can directly talk to the tenant, you can directly hold the collar of the tenant. But when the builder is renting your property, the tenant does not even know that you are the owner of that property. You cannot directly go and access the tenant. The tenant may not even talk to you. He may tell you, who are you? So in assured rental return schemes, all the risks of directly giving it on rent are already there. Plus the risk of doing it through the builder also comes in. So in an assured rental return scheme, your document should be strong enough that you can, that if things go wrong, you can directly step on the property and start taking decisions on the property. You can directly access the end user of the property. You can directly talk to the end user of the property and put your demands about how you want the property to be used and how the rents should be paid to you. And if the end user is not able to use the property and to pay you the rents on time, you must be able to throw the end user out of the property and you must be able to sell the property and bring your money back home. If you do not have the documentation that enables you to do this, and if you don't have the personal influence to go ahead and do this, or if you're not strong enough and if you're not mighty enough to go and complete this, you should not be investing your money into assured rental return scheme. If the developer screws this assured rental returns scheme, you have to face the consequences. Guys, before you sign off, I would like to share a few golden nuggets with you. You can click on the links below and get my book on building a cash pumping lifestyle, or you can join Property Players Hub and get a lot of information and tips to build your cash pumping property empire that can impact many of your generations ahead. See you soon in some other video.